I think he's becoming a regular here on the show. He came first with Lovecraft Country before I had even seen a minute of Lovecraft Country, and didn't give us all the. I wish I had known what was going to be a phenomenon. Then he came back with Dr. Robin, brought Dr. Robin in, who's now a regular monthly on the show, thanks to him, sharing his very heartfelt story of him battling through. And now he's playing a figure in history who I'm struggling with. And I've been struggling with it since I watched Amazing Grace, since I've been reading up on Aretha Franklin's life, and now this biopic on NatGeo in their Genius series on Aretha Franklin, starring, gosh, why can't, she was in Color Purple. Someone help me out. Yes, Cynthia Erivo. Thank you. Let me welcome the great Courtney B. Vance to the Karen Hunter Show. Welcome back.
In the house.
All right. When I'm studying Aretha Franklin and the way you portray her daddy, both loving and exploitive, you know he loves his little girl, he loves his daughter. At the same time, he's a pastor in the pulpit and a lascivious man with vices, sexually and otherwise. Likes girls young. How do you put on that? How do you wear that skin, Courtney B. Vance, and play this role? What's your process?
Because I don't know nothing about him. I come to him no preconceived, and I'm a student of history, so I know what it took for folks to get to where they were up north. The Great Migration, which Isabel Wilkerson detailed for us, and The Warmth of Other Suns. So I know that there was a high cost for all that low living down there in the South. And it was a miracle that he was able to, after witnessing as a boy, a young man, the burnings, the lynchings, the draggings, just all the indignities that went with. And anybody who came up from that degradation were harmed. And I know that, as you do, the white men had it always. They could do anything they wanted to and get away with anything, because they set the world up. But the people who took the brunt, and always have taken the brunt in our society, in our world, and in our world at large, not just in this country, but in the world, are Black women and Black children, boys and girls. So it's no different. I mean, was it right? Was it right, the things that we heard about him? I challenge any of you. I know my grandmother, on her death certificate, they list, because she had my father, she had her first son when she was 15. And on the death certificate, there's this place to say whether or not the woman had stillbirths or not. She was 15 when she had my uncle. And she had 6 stillbirths by the time she was 15. So you do the math. They were messing with her at 9. And I don't think it was white men. So it's just, I don't excuse, but the time period was what the time period was. And didn't nobody care about Black women? Didn't nobody care? In a real sense, they still don't. And white and Black children, they still don't. So we're just looking at one instance of abuse that was happening everywhere. I don't judge. I'm playing the character, but it just makes me go and study, and hopefully that's what people will do. They won't sit back with 2021 eyes and say he's a terrible man. He's a man of his time. And if you look at the time period, you look at our beloved MLK, he had issues. And I think when they released all those tapes that Hoover was it was following him around the country. Every hotel he went to, he bugged every hotel room. We'll see how our beloved Martin had issues as well. So it's just, on the tombstone, it's not going to be all this stuff you can put on. It's going to be one word. Was he a good man? Did he do his best? The rest of it is just life.
We're talking with, of course, an amazing actor and Emmy Award winning. You should probably won some other things, Courtney B. Vance. As I'm looking at the life, because you made me go back. Clarence Levon Walker, born in Sunflower County, Mississippi. You think about that, Sunflower County, Mississippi, and Sunflower County. His father left the home when he was 4, so he didn't have a model for what that looks like. And what do Black people do? Sharecropping. Sharecropping is slavery by another name, right? How do you get out? How do you break free from the poverty, from the degradation, from the toil? You have to be a certain kind of person. And you actually, when you were here last time with Dr. Robin, this journey to understanding and not judgment, that's a tough place for a lot of us, because we have been, even in school, we have been taught and trained that everything's in its proper place, that there are boxes and lines that should not be crossed, right? So when you see somebody in the pulpit talking about Jesus, and this was what we're seeing in the NatGeo piece, Aretha's watching her father live a different life than in the pulpit, which a lot of preachers' kids will tell you is the case, which is why a lot of preachers' kids are like, I'm gonna go out here and do whatever, because the hypocrisy is thick. To then, sit with that, because you're telling me one thing and you're doing another. Is there a point where, and I'm talking to you as Courtney, not just playing this character, but is there a responsibility on the person to say, I'm responsible for these souls. People are watching me, and I determine whether or not they seek the Lord, go to heaven. And every time we give a pass to somebody who is in the pulpit, making, these human choices, which all humans will do, but you don't have to be in the pulpit. You don't have to stand up there on Sunday. You don't have to take that job while you're working through your complications. That's where I feel like we should have some conversation around that, because there's a higher standard there. No?
Yeah, but I agree, but they're people. People are people. People are always going to fall short. They always are. He was without sin, cast the first stone. It's just with people. It's not the office. It's not the office of the pastor. It's that you don't throw the baby out. It's not Jesus. It's people. So you have to hate the sinner, and you have to hate the sin, but not the sinner, because we all fall short. All of us do. And we don't negate it, but at the same time, I still have to look at it in 1960 or 50 or 40, the world was not the same as it is today. So that's why it's beautiful that it's being done. So you can see it. So you can go back and read his biography, or read, something, or watch I remember I was watching America's Professor Skip Gates's piece on America. I forget, it's something to cross, and they were talking about a lady who was she had escaped across a lake, a frozen lake, and was hiding out with her 4 children, and the slaveholders found her, and before they can get in there, she had killed 2 of her children. 2 of her babies, and people were of 2 minds, Black and white. How can she do that? The children. And I was watching with my mother, and she had an ALS. She couldn't talk no more, and she couldn't move. All she could move was her finger, her left thumb, and she wrote out with, and she communicated to us, because we were saying, our nurse for my mommy was saying, I don't know if I could do that, and my mother said, I could do it. I understand it. That's what the institution. That's what the institution of slavery has done to us. We're all harmed by the institution of slavery. We all are. We're all schizophrenic. We're all psychotic in some sense. That we've all lost our way because we let this go on for so long, and still letting it go on, still dealing with doing stuff when you look at it, you go, that was an insurrection. But no, not really. They were patriots, and it's just, they didn't really do anything. So we continually, the country is psychotic, and we're trying to deal with ourselves by not dealing with ourselves and thinking that we can say somebody is this and somebody is that. We all are harmed by what happened. And because we won't deal with it, we won't talk about it where it is when we get the opportunity, when these things come up, when there is the George Floyd, when there is the OJ, when there's Trayvon, all of them, when you start to see if somebody put a list of all the things that went down, they're like, we don't even talk about the assassinations, Malcolm, Martin, Kennedy's. When you start looking at what we do to ourselves in this country and think that we can still be calm, and the world looks at our country and they go, y'all are crazy. But we think that we got it all going on and nobody knows what's going on. We know what the Constitution says, that all men that's all landed white men. There's no women in there. There's no Asians in there. The country didn't really want the Asians to come in, the Immigration Act of 1924. They didn't want the Italians to come here. They saw them as little higher than the N-word. So, they didn't want the Eastern European folks. They didn't want the Jews to come over. So you start to look at what happened to the Native Americans. You start to look and see how the Nazis came here and studied us to figure out how to set up their system. When you start to see all those things, you start to say, come on, when are we going to start? So I look at CL, and I say, yeah, ooh, that's rough. But this country is rough. And this country's done a job on all of us. Was it right what he did? No, but it ain't right what was done to him. So, and I think that's what, as a congregant, we see it, and we know that the good that he's done. Was it right what he did to the baby girl? No, but you see, the Lord has got it. It's not for me to do it. I mean, it's the Lord's got that. He's got that. I'm supposed to just be here.
Courtney B. Vance
don't get me
is
preaching.
Here. I've got you preaching, and it's okay. Courtney B. Vance and beloved Toni Morrison dealt with it. That same thing that you talked about, that your mom said she could do it. That was the foundation of beloved as well. So this might have been a prevalent thing. I'd rather kill my child than to send them back into bondage. And in many ways, we're acting out our trauma and pain because epigenetically, it is always with us if we don't deal with it, which is why dealing with it is important. And I feel like an element of dealing with it is to draw a line in the sand about what is and is not acceptable, because those lines are blurred right now. And if we keep giving people free passes every time the pastor comes into the pulpit and says, I have sinned, and cries, and to ask for forgiveness, which we're supposed to do, instead of saying, I'm not supporting your dysfunction, go get help. I'm not supporting your dysfunction, go get help. And when you're ready to come back, because again, you don't have to be in that pulpit every Sunday preaching with forked tongue. I just feel like there should be a space for that. And we don't talk enough about the help for the trauma in this community.
Well, there's help now. There wasn't help back then.
True.
There was
Facts.
no place for folks to go like that. There is now. So hopefully we can have those conversations now.